Wednesday, May 10th. Happy birthday, Mr. Jason. Let's see. As we get a chance to get farther into things, and we'll get a chance to, finally, we're past testing. And we get to go to a somewhat normal day tomorrow.
Finals.
It's taken way too long. Kings Island trip. Again, if you are wanting to do it, let me know. We're aiming to have to turn stuff in this weekend, so hopefully by Friday, if you are still wanting to join us for a trip, and then you should be good. Talk to me if you need help or anything like that I can do to help you out. Let's see. Today's shirt from Chapter 5 is the Brute Squad. We're going to get to that at some point. I'm having to wear all of my shirts that are all from like Chapter 5, so there's not so much I can do. There's a lot that happens in Chapter 5.
It's the like beginning of Chapter
150 pages or something like that. Block. And next week, again, those of you wanting to buy snacks, we'll give you a chance at the end. I apologize, I'm just trying to get started. That's why I'm trying to, these 20-some minute class parades suck. So checkpoint. You will have quiz tomorrow, but it's a take-home quiz. And it covers intro through the end of Chapter 4. We'll finish Chapter 1 today and get into Chapter 2. And then 2 and 3 are not super long. It'll mostly be Chapter 3 you're going to read, but Chapter 3 is entertaining. Chapter 4 is easy. Chapter 2 is short and exciting because we get to the Zoo of Death. And so it shouldn't be too tough. It'll be take-home. It's a take-home quiz, but it shouldn't be super tough for you. I think that covers it from there. Good job. Then we'll finish it there. We'll get a chance to talk and go from there and blah, blah, blah. Yay. Good job being done, NWEA. The reason I keep putting this up here is not to taunt Wyland, although it is enjoyable. It brings me joy. Is more just to keep pointing out the satire in the book as we get further into it. Hopefully you are picking up on Morgenstern's sassiness. Again, which is why I like it, although we're still in the very beginning of it. We've just begun the sassy, but the fact that parents who always fight each other and stuff like that. What happens in the book is mostly true. It's just that artistic license, where you have, it's not quite historical fiction, but it's in that same area. Like the people, yeah, like the people were real, and the events happened. He's just doing some exploring. Like, I'm not sure he knows exactly what the parents said to each other, and he kind of went creative on some of the Buttercup's background, but most of that stuff is there-ish. I don't teach history. I'm not real big on facts. I'm more on the reading thing. Facts are for things like math. Hi, Wyland. You love Hey Hoodwinked. I know. We're going to watch it soon.
No.
I love
yes.
watching
You're not
yes,
like
you gotta watch it.
I figure at some point you guys have seen this up here enough times that if you've not seen it, you're going to be like, I'm kind of curious to know what this Hoodwink thing is.
I have. It's been forever. I need to watch it.
I feel like I've seen it before.
I mean, if anything, just look at that face. I do not want to watch a movie with that face on. She looks so confused. Plus, you get to find out what Dina Mite is. Dina Mite! Dina Mite!
We watched it in the
Let's see, so we got those two, and Lauren and Gilder, we found out that part. The creepy part now, all of a sudden, that she's the girl where once someone else falls in love with the boy, now she likes the boy also. But prior to that, there was not a whole lot of falling for the boy, and that's where the issues came in. There was also that part in the book where I moved girls' seats because they kept turning around to talk, and I realized that there's 2 open seats I could move them to, and it would solve it. Oh, that wasn't in the book. I got so confused sometimes. You know how old people are. And then we got, oh yeah. Well, not quite. We'll leave it on that one for now. Oh wait, I guess we are this one. She has expressed her love to him, so we'll go to that part. You feel what?
I kind of ship it.
You need one of those mini hammers, so instead of just doing the side thing.
Honestly, though,
yeah, but if you ship them, you have to combine their names, and you don't want to combine Buttercup and Farm Boy, because then it becomes like Butt Boy, and that's not a good ship name. Or Farm Cup. Well, I guess she does call him Wesley now, so.
Butterly boy.
No part of this sounds good. Let's. So, have all of you guys finished Chapter 1?
Yeah.
Hang on. Has anyone not finished Chapter 1? Okay. For those of you who haven't, it's actually not awful because then I get to see your expression when we get to the surprise coming up in a moment. Those of you who have read chapter 1, it's not going to be a surprise to you. Normally,
I read it and I didn't understand what the fuss was about.
Anyway, normally I don't let kids read ahead so that we have to read it together, but this year's been a special year because you guys are special children. Not denying that whatsoever. But that means you guys have now read ahead and you've gotten to experience the surprise.
You're like, be serious.
Alright,
Okay.
let's see. Do I need to back up to where we're falling in love with each other? Okay, I am backing up to the end of page 61 where he says I'm leaving because it feels like the right spot to start the conversation. He cut her off. I'm leaving.
No.
Leaving? The floor began to ripple. She held to the door frame. Now? Yes. Because of what I said this morning? Yes. I frightened you away, didn't I? I could kill my tongue. Weird. She shook her, because her tongue said the words. She shook her head and shook her head. Well, it's done. You've made your decision. Just remember this. I won't take you back when she's done with you. I don't care if you beg. He just looked at her. Buttercup hurried on. Just because you're beautiful and perfect, it's made you conceited. You think people can't get tired of you. Well, you're wrong. They can. And she will. Besides, you're too poor. I'm going to America to seek my fortune. This was just after America, but long after fortunes. A ship sails soon from London. There is great opportunity in America. I'm going to take advantage of it. I've been training myself in my hovel. I've taught myself not to need sleep, a few hours only. I'll take a 10-hour-a-day job, and then I'll take another 10-hour-a-day job, and I'll save every penny from both except when I need to eat to keep strong. And when I have enough, I'll buy a farm and build a house and make a bed big enough for two. You're just crazy if you think she's going to be happy in some rundown farmhouse in America, not with what she spends on clothes. Stop talking about the Countess as a special favor before you drive me mad. Buttercup looked at him. Don't you understand anything that's going on? Buttercup shook her head. Wesley shook his too. You never have been the brightest, I guessed. Yes, he's insulting her intelligence. That's how you get a woman, is you call her dumb. Apparently in this book, it works.
Hey, Mr. Rogan.
No, I'm not. No, you can't risk this.
Darn it!
You have never been the brightest, I
Sounds like a
guess.
challenge, mate.
Do you love me, Wesley? Is that it? He couldn't believe it. Do I love you? My God! If your love were a grain of sand, mine would be a universe of beaches. If your love were... Wait, I don't understand the first one yet. Buttercup interrupted. She was starting to get very excited now. Let me get this straight. Are you saying my love is the size of a grain of sand and yours is the other thing? Images just confuse me so much. Is this universal thing of yours bigger than my sand? Oh, help me, Wesley. I have the feeling we're on the verge of something just terribly important. I have stayed here these years in my hovel because of you. I have taught myself languages because of you. I have made my body strong because I thought you might be pleased by a strong body. I have lived my life with only the prayer that some sudden dawn you might glance in my direction. I have not known a moment in years when the sight of you did not send my heart careening against my ribcage. I have not known a night when your visage did not accompany me to sleep. There has not been a morning when you did not flutter behind my waking eyelids. Is any of this getting through to you, Buttercup, or do you want me to go on for a while? Never stop.
reading the email I sent you.
There has not been... If you're teasing me, Wesley, I'm just going to kill you. How can you even dream I might be teasing? Well, you haven't once said that you loved me. That's all you need? That's easy. I love you, okay? Oh, do you want it louder? I love you! Spell it out, should I? I-L-O-V-E-Y-O-U. Do you want it backward? You love I. You're teasing me now, aren't you? A little, maybe. By the way, that's how I flirted with my wife. Just
You know what? Now I
teasing and making fun. It's the best.
just adds a flavor to it.
You're teasing me now, aren't you? A little, maybe. I've been saying it so long to you, you just wouldn't listen. Every time you said, "Farm boy, do this," you thought I was answering "as you wish." But that's only because you were hearing wrong. "I love you" was what it was. But you never heard, and you never heard. I hear you now. And I promise you this, I will never love anyone else, only Wesley, until I die. He nodded and took a step away. "I'll send for you soon, believe me." Would my Wesley ever lie? He took another step. "I'm late. I must go. I hate it, but I must. The ship sails soon, and London is far." I understand. He reached out with his right hand. Buttercup found it very hard to breathe. "Goodbye." She managed to raise her right hand to his. They shook. "Goodbye," he said again. She made a little nod. He took a third step, not turning. She watched him. He turned. And the words ripped out of her. "Without one kiss?"
I'm sorry. I'm
And
sorry.
they fell into each other's arms. Well, that may have been the creepiest version of that I have ever done. Congratulations, you guys.
You add a flair to it. That's like the scene I just said now.
There have been 5 great kisses since 1642 BC, when Saul and Delilah Corn's inadvertent discovery swept across Western civilization. Before then, couples hooked thumbs. And by the way, I think this is one of his made-up things. I believe kissing has been... Whoa, hey, not in the classroom. What kind of room do you think this is? You can shake hands like he and I did. That makes it normal.
Yeah.
Hooking. Hey, I see your hand coming. So yeah, you're more than welcome. Yeah, the hooking, I think he just make that. I think that's him being sassy. I think kissing has been around a while. But I could be wrong. I'm only a couple hundred years old. And the precise rating of kisses is a terribly difficult thing, often leading to great controversy. Because although everyone agrees with the formula of affection times purity times intensity times duration, no one has ever been completely satisfied with how much weight each element should receive. But on any system, there are 5 that everyone agrees deserve full marks. Well, this one left all behind. The first morning after Wesley's departure, Buttercup thought she was entitled to do nothing more than sit around moping and feeling sorry for herself. After all, the love of her life had fled. Life had no meaning. How could you face the future, etc., etc., etc. But after about 2 seconds of that, she realized that Wesley was out in the world now, getting nearer and nearer to London. And what if a beautiful city girl caught his fancy while she was just back here, moldering? Or worse, what if he got to America, worked his jobs, built his farms, made their bed, sent for her, and when she got there, he would look at her and say, "I'm sending you back. The moping has destroyed your eyes. The self-pity has taken your skin. You are a sloppy-looking creature. I am marrying an Indian girl who lives in a teepee nearby and is always in the peak of condition." I had a nickel every time I heard that. Buttercup ran to her. I'm still waiting on my first nickel. Buttercup ran. Sassy. No, I said it out loud. No one said it to me. Buttercup ran to her bedroom mirror. "Oh, Wesley, I must never disappoint you." Again, women's lip. "I must never disappoint you." And she hurried downstairs to where her parents were squabbling, 16 to 13, and not past breakfast yet. "I need your advice. What can I do to improve my personal appearance?" "Start by bathing," her father said. "Do something with your hair while you're at it," her mother said. "Unearth the territory behind your ears. Don't neglect your knees." "Okay, that'll do nicely for starters," Buttercup said, and she shook her head. Gracious, it isn't easy being tidy. Undaunted, she set to work. Every morning, she awoke, if possibly by dawn, and got the farm chores finished immediately. There was much to be done now, with Wesley gone, and more than that, ever since the Count had visited, everyone in the area had increased their milk order, so there was no time for self-improvement until well into the afternoon. But then she really set to work. First, a good cold bath, Then, while her hair was drying, she would slave after fixing her figure faults. One of her elbows was just too bony, the opposite wrist not bony enough, and exercise what remained of her baby fat. Little left now, she was nearly 18, and brush her hair. Her hair was the color of autumn, and it had never been cut, so 1,000 strokes took time. But she didn't mind, because Wesley had never seen it clean like this, and wouldn't he be surprised when she stepped off the boat in America? Her skin was the color of wintry cream, and she scrubbed her every inch well past glistening. And that wasn't much fun, really, but wouldn't Wesley be pleased with how clean she was as she stepped off the boat in America? And very quickly now, her potential began to be realized. From 20th, she jumped within 2 weeks to 15th, an unheard of change in such a time. But 3 weeks after that, she was already 9th and moving. The competition was tremendous now, but the day after she was 9th, a 3-page letter arrived from Wesley in London, and just reading it put her up to 8th. That was really what was doing it for her more than anything. Her love for Wesley would not stop growing. And people were dazzled when she delivered milk in the morning. Some people were only able to gape at her, but many talked, and those that did found her warmer and gentler than she'd ever been before. Even the village girls would nod and smile now, and some of them would ask after Wesley, which was a mistake, because unless you happen to have a lot of spare time, because when someone asked Buttercup how Wesley was, well, she told them. He was supreme, as usual. He was spectacular. He was singularly fabulous. Oh, she could go on for hours. Sometimes it got a little tough for the listeners to maintain strict attention, but they did their best, since Buttercup loved him so completely. Which was why Wesley's death hit her the way it did.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Brovicast.
What?
For the rest of the bundle, I should read Wesley's lines, and you should read Buttercup's lines.
He had written to her just before he sailed for America.
And he was on the
The
Titanic.
Queen's Pride was his ship, and he loved her. That was the way his sentences always went. It's raining today, and I love you. My cold is better, and I love you. Say hello to horse, and I love you. Like that. Then there were no letters. But there was but that was natural. He was out at sea. Then she heard. She came home from delivering the milk, and her parents were wooden off the Carolina coast, her father whispered. Her mother whispered, without warning, at night. What? Pirates, said her father. Buttercup thought she'd better sit down. There was quiet in the room. He's been taken prisoner then, her mother made a... It was Roberts, the dread pirate Roberts. Oh, the one who never leaves survivors. Yes. There was quiet in the room. Suddenly, Buttercup was talking very fast. Was he stabbed? Did he drown? Did they cut his throat asleep? Did they wake him, do you suppose? Perhaps they whipped him, did? She stopped, She stood up then. I'm getting silly. Forgive me. She shook her head, as if the way they got to mattered. Excuse me, please. With that, she hurried to her room. She stayed there many days. At first, her parents tried to lure her, but she would not have it. They took to leaving food outside her room, and she took bits and shreds enough to stay alive, but there was never noise inside, and no wailing, no bitter sounds. And when she came out at last, her eyes were dry. Her parents stared up from their silent breakfast at her. They both started to rise, but she put a hand out and stopped them. I can care for myself, please. And she set about getting some food. They watched her closely. In point of fact, she had never looked as well. She had entered her room as just an impossibly lovely girl. The woman who emerged was a trifle thinner, a great deal wiser, an ocean sadder. This one understood the nature of pain, and beneath the glory of her features, there was character and a sure knowledge of suffering. She was 18. She was the most beautiful woman in 100 years, and she didn't seem to care. You're all right, her mother asked. Buttercup sipped her cocoa. Fine. You're sure? Her father wondered. Yes, Buttercup replied. There was a very long pause. But I must never love again. And she never did.
You gotta do the funny. You gotta do the dad voice every time you change chapter.
End of chapter 1.